Hey guys, it's me, Rich. Our president just survived another assassination attempt, and this time the assassin was a tutor of the month at a private school in which he worked. In this video, you will see how the radical American left has morphed from far left political opposition to openly cheering and advocating for political assassinations, why the media created the very monster they now refuse to acknowledge, and what millions of Americans are demanding be done before the next assassination attempt succeeds. This isn't a fringe societal problem anymore. It's mainstream, it's spreading like wildfire, and it's being celebrated in plain sight. But if you stick with me to the end of this video, you will see just how deep this rot goes. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back to RPW Media, where we cut through the noise, tell you the truth, and refuse to pretend the obvious isn't happening. Look, if you like our videos already and haven't done so, you should become a subscriber to the channel. Hit the notification bell, smack the like button. Also, tomorrow night, we're going to be doing a live stream, 6 p.m. Eastern, every Friday night. Do me a favor, join us. We're going to have a good time. All right. Now, let's talk about Saturday night, because the media is already trying to move on, and we're not going to let them. President Trump, Melania, J.D. Vance, and multiple cabinet officials had to be rushed out of the White House Correspondents Dinner at the Washington Hilton. Now, the gunman, 31-year-old California man named Cole Thomas Allen, forced his way past security and opened fire. A Secret Service agent was struck, hit in the chest. Luckily, he had a vest on, and he'll be all right. His protective vest stopped that round, and everyone got out safely. The shooter was arrested. All right, those are the facts. But here's what should make your blood run cold, and it will. Cole Thomas Allen, they gave him 3 names for the assassin. That's what they did. Wasn't some anonymous drifter. He wasn't a known extremist with a manifesto and a rap sheet. He had a manifesto, but he wasn't known for that, okay? He was a tutor. He wasn't just any tutor. He was tutor of the month at the private school that he worked. Let that sink in for a second. The man who tried to kill the president of the United States was, until recently, being celebrated in American classrooms. Think about what that tells you about where we are as a society. Now, let's talk about the reaction online, because honestly, that's the part of the story that tells you the most. After the shooting, after a gunman opened fire at a crowded event where the president was present, a large and very vocal portion of the American left rushed to their phones. Were they horrified? Were they relieved when it stopped? Were they at a minimum relieved that no one died? Not on your life. They were angry the shooter missed. Let me say that again, clearly, so it lands. Ordinary looking Americans, people who could live right next door to you, people on LinkedIn profiles and coexist bumper stickers and strong opinions about sustainable coffee, were online to express their frustration that the assassin wasn't a better shot. And if that doesn't shock you, there is something deeply wrong with you. But here's why none of this should surprise you. And this is the part people really need to hear. For years, guys, not months, years, the American media and left-wing political establishment built an entire alternate reality around Donald Trump. They didn't just disagree with him. They didn't just criticize his policies. They called him Hitler. They called him a dictator. They said fascism had arrived, even though fascism is a left-wing ideology, always was, always will be. Just look up Giovanni Gentile. They told audiences every single day that democracy itself would die unless Trump was stopped by any means necessary. That's the key phrase here, by any means necessary. And here's the thing about phrases like that. Unstable people listen to that. They always do. They take it to the end. When you spend a decade telling the most vulnerable, most radicalized corners of your audience that one man is the living embodiment of evil and the existential threat to everything decent in the world, eventually one of them decides that it's their duty to act for all of us. You don't even have to say the words explicitly. The atmosphere does the work for you. Now, a sitting member of Congress actually called for the execution of President Trump. It's not a rumor, guys. It isn't a fever dream from a right-wing podcast. Ilhan Omar tweeted out, "The leader of the pedophile protection party is trying to deflect attention from his name being all over the Epstein files. At least in Somalia, they execute pedophiles, not elect them." That happened. And it happened in a political environment where calling for Trump's assassination had for years become almost fashionable in certain circles. A sitting member of Congress said that. Let that breathe for a moment. And she threw in the pedophile bit because even though there's not an ounce of evidence in all of the Epstein files that Donald Trump ever did anything wrong, the left seems to think that if they go all Nazi with it and continue to repeat the lie over and over and over every single day, that people will finally believe it. And so what do you think some unstable person will do who thinks that he's an existential threat to our world and he's a pedophile? And the media? The same media that will spend 3 weeks covering a single harsh word from a conservative commentator, they're largely silent and largely they moved on with this. Because here's the honest truth, and it's uncomfortable, but someone has to say it. The media did not pull the trigger Saturday night. Nope. Politicians did not walk into the Washington Hilton with a weapon. That's true. Nobody serious is claiming otherwise, but they absolutely created the atmosphere. There's no question. They built the culture. They designed the world where hating Trump isn't just acceptable, it's virtuous. Where violence against him doesn't feel like violence at all. It feels like resistance. It feels like patriotism. It feels like saving democracy from the monster they spent 10 years convincing people he was. You cannot run a decade-long fear campaign and then pretend to be shocked when people take it seriously. And that's what they do. So naturally, the question spreading everywhere right now, and millions of Americans are asking this: how do we stop left-wing violence? People are saying a lot of things. They're saying no more kid gloves, send the people to jail. The answer is shockingly simple. The left has enjoyed a single-sided immunity on the issue of violence. They call for it, organize it, and commit it without fear. Think about that. All we have to do is enforce existing laws, but they'll call that fascist. All we have to do is not care. We start holding the U.S. media financially responsible for inciting it. That's how you get rid of it. I mean, that's how you get rid of it. Because people are watching a political culture, not just a fringe, not just radicals in the street, but an entire machine that includes Hollywood, academia, corporate media, and social media mobs that keep producing people who believe violence is noble as long as the target has a little R next to his name. And it's not just randoms on the internet anymore. These are people who look like your neighbors, people who probably have yard signs about kindness, people who describe themselves as the moral adults in the room. That's what makes this so deeply disturbing, because the old fringe is the new mainstream. The bloodlust that used to live in dark corners on the internet is now out in the open. They don't care. They're getting likes. They're going viral. They're being celebrated for their threats. It has been normalized so thoroughly that people express it without shame anymore, without hesitation, and without any apparent awareness that they've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. They don't care. That's what the modern left is. So what happens now? Here's the bigger, uglier question that nobody in positions of power want to ask out loud. At what point does America decide that political violence is wrong, actually wrong, regardless of who the victim is? Because right now, the standard being applied is simple. Violence is only outrageous when it targets someone the media likes. When it goes the other direction, when the target is Donald Trump or a Republican congressman or a conservative Supreme Court justice, we've seen it over these few years. Suddenly, the conversation shifts. Suddenly, context matters. Suddenly, it's complicated, right? Well, we don't believe in political violence for any reason, unless they deserve it. That's what the left thinks now. The double standard isn't just intellectually dishonest and disingenuous. It's dangerous because it signals to people that there is a class of acceptable targets. And once you establish that logic, once you agree, even implicitly, that some political violence is understandable, you have started a fire you cannot put out. There have been over 250 assassinations of political figures inside Mexico. Do you want that to happen here? Here's what you need to take away from all this. Yes, the shooter failed Saturday night. Yes, Trump is safe. Yes, the Secret Service did its job and they did it well. And yes, that generally is good news. But the fact that he survived shouldn't distract us from what this moment revealed. There is a sickness spreading in American political culture. It's not fringe anymore, guys. It is now mainstream. They celebrate it. And it's being fed every single day by people with massive platforms who know exactly what they're doing. Pretty soon, the other side's going to say, they're not going to stop. We got to fight fire with fire. Do you want that? But see, there is a bright side, and here it is. It's that millions of Americans are waking up to this. They're seeing what's happening, and they're naming it. They're pointing to it. They're refusing to pretend it's normal. And as long as people like you keep watching, keep sharing, keep talking, and keep demanding honesty from the people in power, that accountability doesn't go away. The truth has a way of surviving, even when powerful people wish it wouldn't. All right, so tell me what you think about this in the comments below. I love hearing from you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.